Today we're going to work on this 1964 Ford Galaxie by Hot Wheels. I already drilled the mounting post. We'll get it cracked open. This has a little engine inside, which is a nice little surprise. I'm not really sure what I'm doing with the interior yet, since this is going to be a demolition derby car. I may trim some of the seats out. I might even get rid of this interior altogether. I have some other interiors. I'll probably keep the wheels. I don't see much of a reason to change those. Although the front wheels could be a little bit... I may adjust the front wheels. It's got such a low stance. The front end would look better a little bit higher. Nowadays, people put smaller wheels in the back of their demolition derby cars. I don't think people thought of that back in the day, but you see them a lot like that now. So I like the stance in the back. I may raise the stance in the front a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of the tail lights, get rid of the grille and the headlights. Those are for sure gonna go. I'm gonna take a Dremel tool and sand this spoiler off the back. That's not necessary. I was gonna sand the hood scoop off, but there's a depression here, so if I was to sand that off, I'd end up with a massive hole, which still, there should be a hole. I just don't think I want it to be that big. So I'm thinking I'll just drill a hole in the middle and then file this out to a rectangle shape, and then we'll have a hole there, and then I'll have some pipes coming out. Yeah, I think that sums up what I'm gonna do. We'll change the color, of course. I think this is gonna be green and white. I think that's the colors I'm gonna go with. And I'm also gonna chop some of the quarters here with the Dremel tool so we can make the back end look like it's smashed up. Like I did in some of my previous videos, like this one here has been chopped so the back end looks smashed. And I also did that with the 64 Lincoln. I like how they look. It looks like it's been at least through one heat in the demolition derby. That's the look I'm going for. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is set up the Dremel tool and get rid of this spoiler back here. Alright, I'm just going to drill a pilot hole from the bottom. Next I'm going to take a file. Actually, I think I'll drill a second hole, then I'll take the file to it. Alright, you can see where I've started. It's going to take me a little while, but I'm going to try to get a triangle shape in there. Alright, after working it with a square file and a flat file and a rounded file, this one's kind of rounded, I've come up with that hole. I think that's good enough. And we'll get 2 holes for the exhaust, and the front end would be done. the two pilot holes for the exhaust. I'm going to leave them this size for now. I can take a file with the point on one of these files and make them bigger if I need to. I guess I'll go ahead and drill the holes for the doors where the chains will be. I'm going to put a hole on each side of the door opening on both sides. I'll do that next. Alright, I just need to do that 3 more times. 1 more next to it and 2 on the other side. Alright, I got the doors ready. I think I'll drill 1 hole for the hood and 1 for the trunk lid as well. And I'm going to do 1 more hole in the center of the hood for a chain, and then all the holes will be done. Alright, I got all the holes done. I think I can go ahead and mark out where I want to notch the body, and we'll do that next. Alright, I think I'm just going to take a paint pen and mark where I want to cut this. I know I want to cut it here, across, and see if I go, I guess probably right there. I need to leave some at the bottom because you don't want to cut the whole back of the car off. And I don't want to do it evenly. If you do one side different from the others, you get a little bit more of an angle. So I kind of want to do this one a little different on this side, I think. Maybe a longer cut. I think. Yeah, that should give us a radical angle so it's not just perfectly square. You always want to wear some kind of safety glasses whenever using a Dremel tool. Wouldn't hurt to wear gloves either. Alright, I think that's good enough for this side. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the other side. Okay, unfortunately I nicked the roof a little bit there, but I think I can probably sand that spot out or put a little bit of filler in there if I need to or whatever. Not too concerned with it. But we'll go ahead and start bending this and close that gap up from the notching it. Okay, there we have it. I was hoping to make it more crooked in the back, but good enough. Some castings are made different, so I really couldn't get that big blade in there any other way. I think that's going to be fine. I'm tempted to put another notch and try to move a corner down or something, but I don't know if that's necessary, or I'll have to study on it. So far, it's not too bad. Alright, there we have it. This side looks like it might have cracked all the way through, so I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Go ahead and apply some glue or epoxy around these areas to strengthen it back up. And then we'll start fashioning the chassis to fit. It's going to need some adjustments to look right. They always do. So I'll start working on that next. I think the first thing I want to do is drill out the taillights. I'm going to use the Dremel tool to cut the whole back bumper section off and then cut this grill area out. Alright, then we have our back piece section that I'll be able to place in here however I want. Alright. Alright, now I'll take a file and I'll clean that up. It's a little crooked. Okay, let's see how that looks. Alright, yeah, that looks pretty good. I may end up separating the bumper totally so we can make it look smashed up or bent up, but that's how it's going to look for now. Okay, in order to get this chassis to fit in there right, it looks like I'm going to have to put a relief cut right behind the wheels and the chassis there, just behind the mounting post hole. And I think if I put a slice in there, that should weaken this enough to where I can bend it and make it fit in there like it should. So I'm going to try that next. Okay, I've got space for it to move now. I'm going to place it on there. And I'm going to take a lighter and heat that area up and see if I can get it to bend. And I don't want to melt the wheels either, so. Alright, I got it to click in there. I don't see the chassis in the way. I like that. I'll heat this up one more time. Okay. It's good, but for some reason my wheels aren't rolling smoothly. Now I have to figure out what happened there. Maybe they're rubbing the metal. It does fit nice. I don't know if you can see back in there, but the wheels are rubbing the metal now. So I'm probably going to have to probably move the location of the wheels to on top of the frame, maybe. Unless I can, I don't know, I might be able to put a shim in here. I see some space here. I'm going to see if I can put a shim in there and get this to bend around the shim. Maybe even put the interior in. I'll figure out a way. That's how it goes when you make customs. One step forward, one step back. I'll figure out a way to get these wheels to spin freely. I think the next thing will be to try putting the interior inside it. And we want the interior anyway, because I want to be able to see the engine a little bit. Oh yeah, that makes a difference. That makes a big difference. Just keep the interior in there, and I'll try heating this up again and then pushing it up in place. Alright, that did the trick. I heated it up and I just pressed it up in there. The wheels spin freely now. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Yeah, I don't like to make a custom that doesn't roll, so it rolls great. We got that part covered. The stance that it has right now, I'm not too happy with the stance. I think the front end needs to come up, so I will have to do something with the front axle. I might do that next. Yeah, let's do that next. Let's take this front axle out. And we want to mount this on the other side. And that'll give us some height, making it dip down in the rear. I like that. That's going to look more realistic. Alright, I think I'm just going to continue how this has a notch here. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom with the Dremel tool. Hopefully drop this right in the notch and just glue it. That's what I'm going to try to do. Instead of using the Dremel tool, I think I'd be better off using a file. The Dremel tool's got a rounded blade, and I just don't think that's going to work. Maybe I'll get it started with a Dremel tool and put a notch on each side. Now I just need to clean it up a little bit with this file, and I think it's going to work. Yeah, I think it fits in there fine. I'm going to set it over on a flat surface and make sure all the wheels are touching good. Yeah, that's going to be just fine. All four wheels are touching the ground. Looks like it rolls straight. I'm going to apply some glue and go ahead and glue the axle. When you're doing something like this, make sure you're using gel glue. If you use the other type, it will run into the axle and seize the wheels up. Just a little dab. Okay. We'll just let that sit and dry. Since the interior seems to be helping with the structure of the car, I don't want to change it out, but I will remove this front seat. I could remove the back seat maybe, but again, I don't want to lose the structure of this because it's holding the chassis right where I want it. So I'm going to just remove the passenger seat for now. Alright, I was just able to rock this razor knife back and forth, and I got down one side of the seat. Now I'm going to do this on the other side. You cut towards yourself, so I'm going to do it this way. Alright, I cut down both sides. I just need to cut across the back. Alright. Passenger seat is gone. I might take the file and clean that up a little bit. This extra seat will look good sitting in my junkyard diorama. Alright, I took some files and sanded at the back seat. Got it as smooth as I could. I think that's going to be good enough. I'm going to paint it to look rusty inside, so hopefully that will help. Okay, I'm using chestnut. is the name of the color, and it's a paint by Apple Barrel. I will paint the center console and the seat a different color. Now I'm going to paint the engine compartment blue, just to hope that it stands out a little bit through the hole in the hood, because you're not going to see much. And that's more Apple Barrel paint. Award blue. Place the body over it. Yeah, you'll see a little bit of that blue, hopefully. I'll probably give it a black wash, make it look dirty. Alright, the wheels are dry. You can see how the chassis is looking. Putting the wheels on the bottom seemed like the best choice. Still rolls nice. And it improved the stance. It's got a squat in the back and a little bit higher in the front. I think that's about perfect. Alright, I think I'm going to use axle pins. I put a little mark where I want them to be on there. I'll put one this way and then one this way, kind of a V shape. And I'm just going to glue those in place after I cut the pieces. Alright, I got the pieces glued in place, and that's going to be the windshield protection. Alright, the glue is dry. I took the Dremel tool and kind of feathered it out a little bit so there was no sharp edge there. I'm going to take a wire brush and just scuff it up a little bit, knock some of this gloss off of here, because I'm going to take some tissue paper and glue that to the body to make it look like it's dented up. And this seems to be working great. Taking that right off of there. I'm going to make the paper stick a little better. I may have to start using this brush more often. This would be good for prepping the body for weathering as well. I think that's good enough. I'll get the supplies ready and we'll put the dents on this next. I think I'm going to go ahead and paint the bottom of the chassis that same chestnut color, and that'll get rid of any shiny chrome that shouldn't be there. That's good for the first coat. I might cut the bumper loose in the front or something still. I'm not sure yet. So I'm just going to leave it like this to dry. Alright, I mixed up the blue color to paint the dashboard and the driver's seat in the console. Alright, that'll be the interior, what's left of it, just the dashboard and that little console and seat. I'll find something to put in there for a gas can. Okay, I think this vehicle would look cool if it had the roll bar that you see on some vehicles across the top behind the driver's seat. I'm hoping that I can fashion this into something that will fit over this just right. It's going to take some carving and sanding, but I think I can make it work, so I'm going to start sanding this now. Okay, I whittled this down pretty far. Just noticing there's a little bit of a notch there. I think it'll be fine though once it's painted. I'm gonna probably have to notch the roof a little bit so this slides down in there. So I'm gonna put it where I want it and mark it on each side, and then I'm gonna put a little notch in the roof with the Dremel tool. Right here on this side, and right there on that side. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, they're in the right area. I just need to make them a little bit bigger. See if I can make them bigger with the file. Those files, they're no joke. They really work. Still need to be a little bit wider. Almost. I'll keep working on it. Okay, we'll finish this part up later. Let's move on to the dents. Alright, I got some watered down wood glue. I trimmed some pieces of paper here. It's just regular tissue paper. Sometimes I use toilet paper, but I have all this tissue paper left over from unpacking my die cast, so I figured this would be a good place to use it up. Got this piece here for the trunk. The trick is to try to get it to bubble up in the middle a little bit, look crinkled. Kind of crinkly. Sometimes it takes more than one coat of paper. I'm going to leave that be for now since it adhered to it so well. Yeah, that's not too bad. Let's see, I'm going to do the driver's side quarter panel, I think, next. just let that dry. I already think the trunk lid should probably get a second coat, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I like that better. Looks really crinkled there. And we'll just let that dry. Next, we will do the passenger side. I cut a long piece for this. Hopefully that'll be enough. If not, I'll do like I did in the back and add more. Make sure to get these edges to wrap around the body and fold up underneath. That helps hold the paper on. And believe it or not, when this paper dries, it dries hard. So it's not as fragile as you would think. It's fragile right now, but it dries very hard. I use these cars just like any other car when I'm done. I'll race them, I'll crash them. This paper is very durable. I don't know, after you paint it with paint and this glue dries, it's just surprisingly strong. Alright, I'll let that dry. Alright, I got a piece cut out for the hood, so we'll go ahead and put that one on next. A little bit for the fender. Alright, we'll do this fender. Okay, I'll just have to let it dry. I can always add more paper to change the look of it. Alright, I want this car to be a green color. The paper is dry enough to go ahead and start painting. I'm going to mix up a green. I'm going to start with this neon for the base. And I'm going to darken it up just a little bit with this new shamrock green. I think I want to add a little bit more of this shamrock green to the mix. And maybe even a little bit more. I still want to darken this a little bit. I'm going to put a touch of burnt umber in here. Okay, that's going to be our green color, ready to get started. I think I want this car to be two-tone. So I want to paint the center part white. I keep thinking maybe I should have did the center part first. But I can always touch it up, I guess. Yeah, I should have did the center part first. I'll go ahead and switch to the white. I'll let this little bit dry. Alright, let's try this again. We'll put the white in the center instead. I need to let that dry. We'll go over here. Okay, that's pretty good for the first coat of white. Alright, we'll try the white on the back now. I may have to take some tape and straighten it out, but we'll get the white on here first and let it dry real good. We also need to put this hole back in the hood, so I'll do that. Okay, we can go ahead and continue with the green on the first coat. Okay, I'll let this dry and then I'll touch it up. Alright, I got some more scrap plastic. I'm going to cut one of these pieces off here and fashion it into a gas can. Just going to take the razor knife and cut it. And then I'm going to paint that red. I'm going to sand the top of it flat. And that will be my gas can. I'm going to go ahead and paint it red before I glue it down. At least one coat. I'll let that dry. I took the X-Acto knife and I whittled out some space behind the bumpers. I'll probably heat them up and push them in a little closer to the tires like they were impacted. I'll do that soon. Alright, I have this little piece of jewelry chain that I found on the ground. I'm going to cut those pieces down and use those to make it look like the doors and the hood and trunk are chained down. Alright, I started building the safety bar, and the best way for it to go in there is to heat it up after I put it in place, which I did that to one side just to see what would happen. And then I took it back out so I could paint, but I'm going to go ahead and make it white, and then I'll heat it up and trim it down again when I go to do the final install. And this will take a few coats of paint. And I'm going to build it up kind of heavy where that low spot is. Okay, I'll just let this dry. I want to add a little bit more rust inside the passenger compartment, so I'm going to take a dry brush and try to put some little specks with this burnt umber. Alright, I think that's good enough. Alright, I almost forgot that the floor shows in the car somewhat, so that should be rusty too. I'll let that dry. Red paint is dry on the little gas tank, so I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on there, get it installed. And I think it'll look good right there behind the seat area in the middle. Alright, that'll be the gas can. I might take a little bit of chrome paint or black paint and put a dot on the top for the lid. But I think that's going to work out. I think the car body is dry. This is how it's going to look. I'm going to add a number, I think, on the door, and we'll put some chrome spots where the paint is chipped off. Really can't put it together yet till that floor dries. I'll take the drill and run it back through the holes where the paper is covering the holes, and then I'll take a file and make them larger if I need to so the chain can fit through. I'll do that before I put the body on. Alright, in the process of putting the paper on, I got two areas where the hood looks buckled and the trunk looks buckled. I want to paint those areas in black with some flat black paint. There we go. The same thing back here. There we go. Let's touch the green up just a hair. But that's why I wanted to do it now before my green paint dried up, or I ran out. So that will make it look a little bit more realistic. like having it dark in there. Alright, everything's moving along pretty good. Trying to get this on the roof has been difficult. And now the interior is in there, so it's going to be even harder. But I'm going to keep working at it till I figure out a way to get it in there. Alright, I trimmed it down a little bit shorter, and I sanded this side a little bit. And I think I can get it to go down in here the way I want it. So close. There we go. I think that's the best I'm going to get it. Unless I go with something totally different. But I think that's going to work. Let me straighten it out a little bit. Yeah, I think it's going to work. I'll straighten it out and apply a little bit of glue. Alright, that's going to work out. Next thing is to put the chains on. I'm going to take that drill bit and open these holes back up. Alright, I got all the holes opened back up. Let's get some chains cut. Alright, the back bumper has two little tailpipes that come out the back. I don't think we need that anymore, so I'm going to try to get rid of that. That's going to look better. And I'll run the chain right between there. I might hit it with the hand file just to smooth it out a little. Go ahead and put a little bit of glue on the car and glue this back bumper in place. I think that's pretty good. It don't have to be perfectly straight. Alright, it's probably difficult to see, but I smashed one end of the chain with a pair of pliers. I'm going to put some glue on that and then insert it into this hole. Making sure to use gel super glue. You don't want to use the other type. It will run all over the place. Okay, now I just need to let that dry. Alright, the bottom is going to be a little bit easier. I'm just going to put some glue where I want it, and then I'll trim it off afterwards. Alright, I'm just going to let that dry. Alright, it wasn't easy, but I got some chain on the passenger door. Alright, I got a piece of chain on the driver's door. Alright, we do the same thing in the back. Alright, we'll let that dry. Alright, back is chained, the doors are chained, and the hood is chained. I think the next thing to do is put the numbers on the door and whatever else I can think of to make it look more like a derby car. And then we'll get some pictures in the diorama. I guess we also need to put our pipes coming up out of the hood. We're getting there, getting close. I guess I'll put the pipes coming out of the hood next. Alright, I use these WD-40 straws for lots of things on die-cast remodeling. Sometimes I use them for axles, but today I'm going to use them for the exhaust pipes coming out of the hood. But I want to sand these down and rough up the surface real good so the paint sticks. So I'm going to spend a few minutes sanding them. I'm not sanding the whole thing, but sanding enough of it to get two little pipes. So I'm going to spend a little while doing that. Alright, I've got it sanded pretty good. I'm going to use this chrome paint pen. Alright, I'll cut that down to the size I need, and that will be the exhaust. Alright, to get these holes just the right size, I have this round file. They need to be a little bit larger, so I'll use that. I'll just spin this around until it makes the hole the size I want it to be. Alright, there's our pipes. Look pretty good, I think. I'll add some black paint for a little bit of carbon buildup. Okay, I think I want this car to be number 7, so I'm going to attempt to put 7 on the door. Almost wonder if that white needs another coat. Okay, I gave it an extra coat on the white. It does look better. Now I'm going to try to put a number 7 on the door with the Sharpie. Okay, there's our number 7 on this side. I'll make it a little bit wider. Alright, that's going to be good enough. Our number 7 over here. For whatever reason, the pen stopped working, so I had to write on some paper for a minute to get it going again. Alright, hopefully that'll work. Alright, I have this sticker of the letter N, which is way too big for anything, but I can get a number 7 out of this for the roof. So right here, I'm going to get my number 7 for the roof. Something like that, and I'll just cut that out and apply it to the roof. Make sure that's not too big. I made it a little smaller. Let's try it again. Alright, I think that's where I want it. Alright, we got the 7 on the roof, 7 on the doors. I'll see if I can think of something else. I have trouble writing this small or painting this small, but I would like to add some kind of writing or something. Maybe USA or Ford. Okay, I've got some dry stencil decals. I'm going to see if I can put a stop sign or on the door with the stencil. Right there. I'm going to try it. I've never used this before. It came with a lot of supplies that I bought. Huh, it worked. I have a stop sign on there. Awesome. Here's the stencil. They're all railroad signs of some kind, but I think they'll look good on the car, some of these. Could be a company car from one of these things. So I'll cut out a couple more. This green one looks cool. Probably look good on there. And I'll try to get some of these stencils on the car. That'll make it look more realistic. Alright, I got that little stencil there. I think I'm going to put it right here on the front. At least for this side. I think that's where I want it. All right, we have another little logo. Nice. All right, I'm going to put the same logo over here on this side. Right about there. There we have it. Wow, I'm glad I thought about using these. I'll have to try to order some more. Okay, I think I identified my next the one I'm going to use. I'm going to use the one that says Middletown, the one that's just small and black. I think the other one's probably too big. Well, I don't know, maybe. It looks really big here. Oh, I could use Deer Creek. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I'll see which ones fit on the car better. I'm going to use the ones that say Deer Creek right here. That would look cool. I'm going to place the Deer Creek logo right on the back quarter panel. Right like that. There we go. Do the same. I like that. That looks great. Okay, I also like these little Frisco signs. I'm going to cut out 2 of those, add those to the car, and I think that'll be it. Okay, I'm going to apply that to the quarter panel. I think that looks good right there. Okay, one more on the other side. There we go. I think this car is done. I'm gonna, well, almost done. I need to touch up that red area in there and make that black. And then I'm gonna heat up this bumper and twist it up a little bit and give it a black wash. And I'm gonna put a black wash on the back. Okay, I wanna add a little bit of a beige wash down at the bottom for some dirt. And the wheels. I don't want to go crazy with it. that's good. A little bit of spray here and there. We'll let that dry. Hey, I gotta give the passenger side the same treatment. A few little dots here and there. That turned out good. I think I should do a little bit on the hood. Now we just need to add some to the wheels. A little wash to the wheels. And let that dry. Okay, I heated up the front bumper and twisted it a little bit, but I made sure it's not touching the wheels or anything. And now I want to put a little bit of a black wash on here. And we'll just let that dry. For my last step, I'm going to take some metallic paint and put it in some areas where I feel that the paint would have rubbed off or cracked off from the body being bent. Paint has a tendency to usually come off, so I'm trying to add some spots where it looks like it's been scratched down to the bare metal. So I'll do that in a few places. Okay, I went around and I took some chrome paint and put it in some places where I felt like the paint had probably got scraped off or chipped off from the impacts. So I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and take it over to the junkyard diorama and get some photographs. I really like how it turned out. I'm glad that I used the stickers. It really set it off. The only thing I would have liked to have done differently or improved on may be the bar that goes across the top, but it serves the purpose. And it's the first time I tried doing that, so usually your first time you do something is not always the best. So hopefully I will improve on that, get a better design next time. Well, I think that sums up our 1964 Ford Galaxie Demolition Derby car. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, don't forget to check out my eBay store. Thanks again and have a great day.
Well, hello everybody. That was a fun ride, wasn't it?